You think African-American Christmas tables only featured the main courses everyone remembers? Think again. Black families passed around platters of homemade appetizers that opened celebrations with flavor and tradition. Let's dig into 30 forgotten African-American Christmas appetizers no one makes anymore. Cheese straws were the golden welcome of every African-American Christmas gathering, twisting their way onto platters before guests removed their coats. These spirals combined sharp cheddar with flour, butter, and cayenne, mixed until the dough could be pressed through cookie presses or rolled and sliced by hand. Baking filled kitchens with toasted cheese and spice, signaling the celebration had begun. Families stored them in tins lined with wax paper, keeping them crisp for days of visiting. Church ladies competed over whose straws had perfect heat and richness, with recipes guarded closely. Children sneaked handfuls from parlor tables when adults weren't watching, learning these twists were worth getting caught. The tradition connected generations, with grandmothers teaching granddaughters the exact pressure needed for perfect straws. Store-bought versions cannot capture what homemade cheese straws represented: pride, hospitality, and the unmistakable taste of a Black Southern Christmas. Hot water cornbread bites transformed the everyday staple into elegant appetizers worthy of Christmas gatherings. The technique required skill: cornmeal mixed with boiling water, salt, and sometimes sugar, shaped into small rounds and fried until golden. The hot water created texture crisp outside yet tender within, unlike any other cornbread. Families served these warm on platters lined with cloth napkins, alongside pepper jelly or potlikker for dipping. Preparation became communal, with multiple hands shaping bites, while cast-iron skillets worked continuously. Grandmothers insisted water had to be truly boiling and oil exactly the right temperature, passing down wisdom no cookbook contained. Children gathered around stoves, waiting for the first batch to cool enough to eat. The simplicity of ingredients belied the complexity of perfection, making hot water cornbread bites a test separating novice cooks from masters. This appetizer proved that humble ingredients prepared with care could rival anything on fancy tables. Pickled pig's feet appeared on Christmas tables as testament to using every part of the hog with dignity and creativity. Preparation began days before. Feet cleaned meticulously, boiled until tender, then submerged in spiced vinegar brine with bay leaves, peppercorns, and hot peppers. Pickling transformed what some dismissed as scraps into a delicacy with complex flavors: tangy, savory, and rich with gelatin melting on the tongue. Families served them cold from glass jars, arranged on plates with crackers. The dish carried deep significance, representing resourcefulness born of necessity and elevation of humble ingredients into celebration. Elders remembered when pickled feet were everyday sustenance, but Christmas made them special with extra spices and proud presentation. Children often approached with hesitation, but those who learned appreciation became lifelong devotees. The tradition connected holiday tables to ancestral wisdom about wasting nothing and honoring everything that sustains you through hardship and joy alike. Oyster patties brought coastal elegance to African-American Christmas celebrations, particularly in communities near Gulf and Atlantic shores. Fresh oysters were chopped and folded into creamy sauce seasoned with celery, onion, and sherry, then spooned into flaky pastry shells and baked golden. The combination of briny sweetness with buttery pastry created appetizers feeling luxurious while remaining deeply Southern. Families near oyster beds gathered their own, making the dish practically free despite sophisticated appearance. Patties were arranged on silver trays inherited from grandmothers, passed around parlors as guests arrived. Making them required coordination, shells prepared in advance, filling assembled beforehand, baking timed for warm serving. Church suppers and Christmas Eve gatherings featured these as centerpieces of appetizer spreads. The tradition reflected how African-American cooks transformed accessible coastal ingredients into dishes worthy of celebration, proving elegance came from skill rather than expense. Deviled ham spread turned leftover Christmas ham into appetizers, stretching holiday abundance across days of family visiting. Cooks ground or finely chopped cooked ham, blending with mayonnaise, mustard, pickle relish, and hot sauce until reaching perfect spreading consistency. The mixture was packed into crocks, ready to spread on crackers whenever guests arrived unexpectedly. The term deviled referred to spice and mustard, giving the spread its distinctive kick, transforming plain ham into something with personality. Families appreciated how spread made a little ham go far, feeding dozens from what might otherwise be a single sandwich. Children loved helping grind ham through hand-cranked meat grinders, turning handles while adults added seasonings. The spread kept for days, improving as flavors melded together. This appetizer represented the African-American philosophy of abundance through creativity, making sure no guest left hungry and no food went to waste during the most important gathering season of the entire year. Fried okra bites brought the beloved southern vegetable to Christmas tables in perfect form for passing and sharing. Fresh okra was sliced into rounds, soaked in buttermilk, then dredged in seasoned cornmeal before frying in small batches until crispy and golden. Buttermilk tenderized okra while reducing natural slickness, creating bites crunchy outside and tender within. Families served them hot in napkin-lined baskets, often with remoulade or pepper vinegar for dipping. Preparation required attention. Oil temperature maintained precisely. Okra couldn't sit after dredging or coating became soggy. Grandmothers stationed themselves at stoves, frying continuously, while younger family carried fresh baskets to guests. The aroma of frying okra mixed with holiday spices created scent memories lasting generations. Children claiming to dislike okra often converted by crispy bites, disguising the vegetable's texture. The tradition honored African agricultural heritage while adapting it to celebration, making okra worthy of finest gatherings. Souse meat slices showcased preservation art, sustaining African American families through lean times and celebrating abundance during holidays. Preparation involved boiling pigs' feet, ears, and snouts until tender, then chopping meat and suspending it in natural gelatin, seasoned with vinegar, hot peppers, and spices. The mixture was poured into molds and chilled until firm, then sliced thin for platters. Texture was unlike anything else. Cool, slightly chewy meat bound by savory jelly melting on the tongue. Families made souse days before Christmas, allowing flavors to develop fully. The dish required skill to balance vinegar's tang against meat's richness, with every household having different preferences. Elders ate souse with reverence, remembering when it represented survival rather than celebration. Younger generations often needed encouragement to try it, but those who did discovered flavors connecting them to ancestors. Souse reminded everyone that nothing worth having comes without patience, and heritage deserves preservation. Liver pudding rounds brought distinctive Carolina and Virginia flavors to African American Christmas appetizer spreads. This specialty combined pork liver with cornmeal, spices, and sometimes rice, cooked until thick enough to slice, then fried until edges crisped and centers stayed creamy. Served on crackers or toast rounds, the pudding offered rich, iron-forward flavor pairing perfectly with sharp mustard or pepper jelly. Families purchased liver pudding from local butchers following regional traditions, or prepared their own using recipes passed through generations. The dish represented nose-to-tail philosophy that African American cooks perfected from necessity, but continued from appreciation. Children often resisted initially, but adults insisted they try at least one bite. Knowing acquired tastes became lifelong favorites. Fried rounds disappeared quickly from platters, with guests returning for seconds. Liver pudding connected Christmas to everyday survival foods, elevating humble ingredients through skilled preparation. Pepper jelly and cream cheese balanced sweet heat against cool creaminess, becoming a fixture on African American Christmas tables by mid-century. Homemade pepper jelly used hot peppers from summer gardens, preserved with sugar and vinegar until transformed into jewel-colored spreads glowing when held to light. A block of cream cheese served as foundation, jelly spooned generously over top, crackers provided for spreading. The combination worked because cream cheese tempered pepper heat while jelly's sweetness enhanced complex flavors. Families took pride in jelly-making skills, adjusting pepper varieties for signature heat levels. Some added bell peppers for color. Others used habaneros for serious spice. The appetizer required no last-minute preparation, ideal for hosts juggling multiple dishes. Church gatherings featured several versions, guests comparing heat levels and declaring favorites. The tradition represented how African American cooks elevated simple ingredients through preservation techniques from generations past. Smoked fish spread carried coastal African American community flavors to Christmas celebrations far from any shoreline. Smoked mullet, mackerel, or whiting was flaked carefully, then blended with cream cheese, lemon juice, hot sauce, and minced celery and onion. The mixture was chilled until firm, served surrounded by crackers or vegetables for dipping. Smokiness mingled with bright lemon acid and pepper heat, creating layers developing with each bite. Families near coasts smoked their own fish, while those inland relied on specialty markets or mail order from relatives maintaining water connections. The spread represented African American migration experience, carrying food traditions from places of origin to new homes across the country. Children learned to distinguish quality smoked fish by texture and flavor depth, education serving them throughout their lives. The tradition reminded families that no matter how far they traveled, the tastes of home could follow them anywhere they went. Chicken liver pate brought sophisticated flavors to African American Christmas tables without requiring expensive ingredients. Chicken livers were sautéed with onions in butter until cooked through, then blended smooth with cream cheese, bourbon, and warm spices. The mixture was packed into crocks and chilled until firm enough to spread on crackers or toast points. The flavor was rich and earthy, with bourbon adding warmth complementing holiday celebrations. Families valued this appetizer because chicken livers cost pennies compared to fancy imported pâtés, yet the result tasted equally elegant. Grandmothers who learned to stretch every dollar transformed humble organs into something guests assumed came from specialty shops. The pate kept well for days, ready to serve whenever visitors stopped by. Children often wrinkled noses at the idea, but adults savored every creamy bite. This dish proved African American cooks could create refinement from resourcefulness, turning ordinary into extraordinary. Pickled eggs appeared in glass jars on African American Christmas tables, their purple-tinted whites signaling the beet brine that transformed them. Hard-boiled eggs were submerged in spiced vinegar colored with beet juice, bay leaves, and peppercorns, then left to cure for days until pickling penetrated completely. The eggs emerged tangy and firm, with beet brine adding earthiness and striking color that made platters festive. Families prepared them weeks in advance, knowing flavor improved with time and jars could be stored without refrigeration. The tradition connected to preservation techniques sustaining communities before electricity reached rural homes. Sliced in half and arranged on platters, pickled eggs added protein and visual interest to appetizer spreads. Children were fascinated by the colors, often eating them just to see pink penetration through whites. The eggs represented thrift and planning, with families transforming cheap ingredients into conversation pieces guests remembered long after holidays ended. Hog's head cheese showcased African American mastery of using every part of the animal with respect and creativity. Despite its name, this wasn't cheese but a cold cut made by simmering head meat until tender, then chopping it fine and setting it in natural gelatin. Sliced thin and served on crackers or bread rounds, hog's head cheese offered complex flavors. Savory meat bound by silky aspic flavored with vinegar, sage, and black pepper. Families made it during hog killing season, timing preparation to have fresh slices ready for Christmas. The dish required patience and skill, with cooks carefully balancing seasonings and achieving proper texture. Elders remembered when hog's head cheese represented survival rather than celebration, but Christmas presentation elevated it with pride. Younger guests sometimes hesitated at the appearance, but one taste often converted them into believers. The tradition connected holiday tables to agricultural roots, honoring animals by wasting nothing and transforming every part into nourishment. Fried chicken wings served as Christmas appetizers long before buffalo sauce made them famous, appearing on African American tables seasoned with salt, pepper, and cayenne. Wings were considered less desirable cuts, making them affordable for families who reserved breast meat for main courses. The preparation was straightforward. wings dredged in seasoned flour and fried in cast iron until skin turned deeply golden and crackled with each bite. Served hot on platters lined with paper napkins, they disappeared within minutes of hitting the table. The seasoning varied by household, with some families adding garlic powder, others preferring paprika for color. Children claimed wings as their territory, knowing adults would focus on other dishes. Church gatherings featured massive platters of wings, with cooks competing over whose seasoning achieved perfect balance. These wings represented pure Southern tradition before commercialization, proving simple preparation of quality ingredients created food people remembered. Stuffed celery brought elegance and crunch to African-American Christmas appetizer spreads, with crisp stalks serving as vessels for savory fillings. The classic filling combined cream cheese with chopped olives, pimentos, and sometimes blue cheese, piped into the celery's natural groove. Other variations used pimento cheese, deviled ham spread, or seasoned cream cheese with chives. The preparation was simple enough for children to help, making it a family activity during holiday cooking. Celery was affordable and available even in winter, while fillings stretched expensive ingredients across many servings. Arranged on platters with stuffed sides facing up, they created colorful rows looking far fancier than their modest cost. Ladies' auxiliaries featured stuffed celery at every gathering, with cooks varying fillings to showcase creativity. The appetizer satisfied those wanting something light, providing crunch and freshness, balancing heavy fare. Stuffed celery represented the gift for making simple ingredients feel celebratory. Deviled crab brought coastal luxury to African-American Christmas celebrations, with seasoned crab meat packed into shells and baked until golden. Fresh crab was picked clean, then mixed with breadcrumbs, mayonnaise, mustard, and enough cayenne to justify the deviled name. The mixture was spooned back into cleaned shells, topped with breadcrumbs and butter, then baked until tops turned crispy brown. Families near the Chesapeake, Gulf Coast, or Carolina shores gathered their own crabs, making this elegant appetizer practically free. The preparation required patience, picking crab took time, and filling needed careful seasoning to enhance rather than mask sweet crab flavor. Church suppers featured deviled crab as special occasion food, with cooks earning reputations based on signature recipes. Children learned to crack and pick crabs alongside elders, education connecting them to coastal heritage. Deviled crab proved that African-American cooks transformed regional abundance into celebration worthy of finest gatherings. Chitlin bites transformed the traditional holiday dish into appetizer form, offering small portions of the intensely flavored delicacy. Chitterlings were cleaned with extraordinary care, a process taking hours, then boiled with onions, vinegar, and seasonings until tender before being chopped and fried crispy. Served with hot sauce and crackers, chitlin bites allowed those who loved the dish to enjoy it and newcomers to try without full commitment. The aroma announced their preparation throughout the house, a scent dividing people into devoted fans and determined avoiders. Families who served chitlin bites did so with pride, honoring traditions stretching back generations when humble ingredients sustained communities. The dish required courage to prepare, knowing some guests would decline while others returned for more. Children watched elders eat chitlin bites with reverence, understanding the dish carried cultural significance beyond nutrition. This appetizer connected Christmas tables to ancestral survival and celebration. Country ham biscuits anchored African-American Christmas appetizer spreads with perfect balance of salty, smoky meat and tender, buttery bread. Paper-thin slices of cured country ham were tucked into small biscuits fresh from the oven, sometimes with butter or mustard, creating bites delivering intense flavor in compact form. The ham itself was precious, cured for months in smokehouses and sliced carefully to stretch across many servings. Families who raised their own hogs took pride in serving ham they had cured themselves, while others purchased from local farmers maintaining traditional methods. The biscuits had to be made small, sized for 2 bites at most, ensuring guests could sample without filling up before main meals. Church gatherings featured trays of ham biscuits passed by hand, with recipes for both ham curing and biscuit making guarded as treasures. The combination represented Southern hospitality at its finest, offering guests something homemade, flavorful, and prepared with obvious care and skill. Sardine spread offered affordable protein and bold flavor on African American Christmas appetizer tables, transforming canned fish into celebration food. Sardines were mashed with cream cheese, lemon juice, hot sauce, and minced onion until smooth enough to spread on crackers. The flavor was assertive, briny, rich, and unmistakably fishy, but devotees considered that intensity the whole point. Families appreciated how a single can of sardines combined with pantry staples could feed a dozen guests, making the spread economical. The preparation took minutes, allowing cooks to focus on more demanding dishes while still offering variety. Children often avoided sardine spread, but adults who grew up eating it sought it out at gatherings, disappointed when it didn't appear. The tradition connected to times when canned fish provided essential nutrition during lean periods, with Christmas elevating survival food. Sardine spread reminded families that flavor didn't require expensive ingredients, just confidence in traditional tastes. Pickled watermelon rind appeared in cut glass dishes at African American Christmas gatherings, its translucent sweetness offering contrast to savory appetizers. The preparation began during summer watermelon season, when white rind was trimmed, cubed, and preserved in spiced syrup with cinnamon, cloves, and vinegar. Pickling transformed tough rind into something tender and complex, sweet, tangy, and warmly spiced in ways surprising first-time tasters. Families stored jars in pantries for months, saving them for holiday tables where they added elegance and conversation. The tradition represented African American commitment to waste nothing, finding value in parts others discarded. Children often approached with curiosity, discovering flavors unlike anything else on the table. The pickles required patience and planning, connecting summer abundance to winter celebration through preservation arts passed through generations. Pickled watermelon rind proved that the best holiday foods came from creativity rather than expense. Spiced pecans filled candy dishes throughout African American homes during Christmas, their sweet heat drawing hands back repeatedly. Raw pecans were tossed with butter, sugar, cinnamon, cayenne, and salt, then roasted until glossy and fragrant. The coating caramelized during baking, creating a crunchy shell that shattered to reveal rich nut inside. Families made them in large batches, knowing they would disappear quickly. The preparation was simple enough that children could help, stirring nuts in spiced butter before baking. Grandmothers adjusted cayenne to family preferences, with some batches mild and others fiery for adults. Spiced pecans appeared at every gathering, from church socials to family dinners. The tradition connected to southern pecan orchards and African American history of harvesting nuts. These candied nuts proved that the best appetizers combined simplicity with memorable flavor. Fried pork skins crackled in cast-iron skillets during African American Christmas preparations, transforming pig skin into crispy snacks. The skins were cleaned, scraped, and dried before being fried twice, first to render fat, then at high heat to puff. The result was light, crunchy, and deeply porky, seasoned with salt or cayenne and garlic. Families served them warm in bowls, watching guests grab handfuls before main celebrations. The preparation connected to hog-killing traditions when nothing was wasted and every part had purpose. Children loved the crunch and saltiness, while adults appreciated how skins paired with cold drinks. Making pork skins required skill. Temperature had to be exact or they'd burn. The tradition represented African American mastery of transforming humble ingredients into something people craved. Fried pork skins reminded everyone that celebration didn't require expensive ingredients. Salmon croquettes appeared on African American Christmas appetizer platters as elegant bites stretching canned fish festively. Canned salmon was flaked, mixed with breadcrumbs, egg, onion, and seasonings, then shaped into patties and fried golden. The exterior turned crispy while interior stayed moist, each bite delivering salmon richness balanced by seasonings. Families made them small for appetizer portions, knowing guests could eat several without filling up. The preparation was economical. A single can yielded a dozen croquettes when stretched with binders. Children often helped shape patties, learning kitchen skills while contributing to preparations. Served with remoulade or tartar sauce, salmon croquettes felt sophisticated despite humble origins. The tradition connected to times when canned salmon provided affordable protein for families far from coasts. These croquettes proved African-American cooks transformed pantry staples into celebration. Bourbon meatballs simmered in chafing dishes at African-American Christmas gatherings, their sweet glaze drawing guests back. Ground beef or pork was mixed with breadcrumbs, egg, and seasonings, shaped into balls and browned before bathing in sauce of bourbon, brown sugar, and tomato. The alcohol cooked off, leaving caramel sweetness balancing savory meat. Families kept them warm throughout celebrations, sauce thickening as hours passed. The bourbon added sophistication, elevating simple meatballs into something guests discussed for days. Church gatherings featured these regularly, with cooks adjusting bourbon to preference. Children could eat them safely since alcohol evaporated. The preparation allowed advanced cooking, with meatballs made days ahead and reheated. Bourbon meatballs represented the African-American gift for creating elegance from simple ingredients and transforming everyday food into celebration. Fried green tomatoes served as Christmas appetizers when late-season gardens yielded unripe fruit needing use before frost. Firm green tomatoes were sliced, dipped in buttermilk, then dredged in seasoned cornmeal before frying until golden. The tomatoes inside stayed firm with tangy brightness cutting through the rich cornmeal crust. Families served them hot on platters with remoulade or comeback sauce for dipping. The preparation required attention. Oil temperature maintained precisely, tomatoes not too ripe or they'd fall apart. Grandmothers who mastered fried green tomatoes passed techniques to daughters and granddaughters. The appetizer represented waste-nothing philosophy, finding celebration in produce otherwise discarded. Children discovered they loved the tangy, crispy bites, even when claiming to dislike tomatoes. Fried green tomatoes connected Christmas tables to gardens, honoring the land-sustaining families. Sweet potato biscuits with ham combined two Southern staples into appetizer bites, capturing holiday flavors. Mashed sweet potatoes were worked into biscuit dough, creating tender, slightly sweet bread with distinctive orange color. Baked until golden and split while warm, these biscuits cradled thin slices of country ham whose saltiness balanced potato sweetness. Families made biscuits small for appetizer portions, knowing the combination was rich enough that a few bites satisfied. The preparation honored sweet potato traditions stretching back to African foodways while celebrating Southern ham-curing heritage. Church gatherings featured these regularly, with cooks earning praise for achieving perfect texture. The biscuits could be made ahead and reheated, practical for busy holiday kitchens. Sweet potato biscuits with ham proved that innovation within tradition created foods both familiar and exciting. Bacon-wrapped dates appeared on African-American Christmas appetizer spreads, offering perfect balance of sweet, salty, and savory. Medjool dates were pitted and sometimes stuffed with almonds before being wrapped in bacon and baked until bacon crisped. The combination worked because bacon's smokiness enhanced dates' caramel sweetness while textures contrasted perfectly. Families learned this appetizer from church cookbooks or neighbors, and it quickly became a holiday standard. The preparation was simple enough for children to help, wrapping dates and securing with toothpicks. Baking rendered bacon fat while caramelizing dates, creating something greater than components suggested. Church gatherings featured platters that disappeared within minutes, with guests returning until nothing remained. This appetizer proved that the best holiday foods came from simple combinations executed with care. Fried dill pickles offered unexpected delight on African-American Christmas appetizer tables, transforming tangy pickles into crispy bites. Dill pickle slices were drained well, dipped in seasoned batter, then fried until coating turned golden while inside stayed cool and tangy. The contrast between hot, crispy exterior and cold, sour interior surprised guests encountering the combination. Families discovered this appetizer through county fairs or adventurous cooks experimenting with frying. The preparation required proper draining to prevent spattering and batter adhering to wet surfaces. Children especially loved fried pickles, finding them more exciting than raw pickles could be. Served with ranch dressing for dipping, they disappeared quickly from platters. Fried dill pickles represented African-American spirit of culinary innovation, transforming familiar ingredients into something making people smile. Pimiento cheese pinwheels brought visual elegance to African-American Christmas appetizer spreads while showcasing the beloved Southern spread. Homemade pimiento cheese was spread across flour tortillas, then rolled tightly and chilled before slicing into rounds, revealing spiral patterns. The presentation elevated humble pimiento cheese into something looking professionally catered and impressive. Families made pinwheels the day before gatherings, allowing them to firm up properly for clean slicing. The preparation was simple enough for children to help, spreading and rolling while adults handled the cutting. Church suppers featured platters arranged in concentric circles, spirals drawing compliments before the first bite. The pimiento cheese varied by cook. Some preferred sharp cheddar, others added jalapenos for kick. Pinwheels proved that presentation mattered, transforming everyday spread into celebration food. Pigs in blankets made with cocktail franks wrapped in crescent roll dough emerged from ovens as perfect little packages that children ate by the handful, their small size making them perfect for young appetites and hands that grabbed multiple pieces at once. Mothers would unroll refrigerated crescent dough, separating it along the perforations before cutting each triangle in half to create smaller pieces that wrapped around cocktail-sized hot dogs snugly. The wrapped franks were arranged on baking sheets with the dough seam facing down, sometimes brushed with melted butter or beaten egg for extra golden color. As they baked, the dough puffed up and turned flaky and golden, while the franks inside steamed and stayed juicy, creating combinations of textures that made every bite satisfying. In the 1970s, Black households, pigs in blankets represented quick, crowd-pleasing appetizers. Children loved them because they were perfectly sized for little hands. Pig ears boiled then fried transformed another discarded cut into crispy, gelatinous treats that appeared at gatherings and celebrations throughout Black communities nationwide during warm months. The ears were thoroughly cleaned, boiled until tender, then sliced into strips, breaded, and deep-fried until golden and crispy on the outside with satisfying crunch. The texture was unique, with crispy breading giving way to tender cartilage that had a satisfying chew unlike any other food available anywhere. These weren't everyday food, but special treats that showed up at fish fries, family reunions, and summer cookouts where people gathered to celebrate. The ears provided collagen and minerals while costing almost nothing per pound, since most butchers were happy to sell what they couldn't move otherwise to anyone. In the 1970s, pig ears represented nose-to-tail eating decades before it became fashionable in upscale restaurants charging premium prices. The preparation required skill and patience, with experienced cooks knowing exactly how long to boil and at what temperature to fry perfectly. Divinity candy was the snow-white confection that tested Black cooks' patience every Christmas, its success dependent on weather, timing, and prayers that the sugar would set properly. This ethereal candy was made by cooking sugar syrup to the hardball stage, then slowly pouring it into beaten egg whites while mixing constantly until thick and cloud-like. Pecans were folded through before the mixture was dropped onto waxed paper, each mound setting into pillowy perfection, or collapsing into sticky failure if humidity interfered. Grandmothers refused to attempt divinity on rainy days, knowing moisture would prevent proper setting. When it worked, divinity melted on the tongue with sweetness that seemed to float. The candy was often tinted pink or green for holiday color, arranged on platters where it looked like edible clouds. Divinity represented temperamental candy making requiring experience and intuition, skills that fewer cooks now possess. Sweet potato bites topped with mini marshmallows were dessert-like appetizers that blurred the line between side dish and treat, their orange flesh and white topping creating visual appeal that drew children like magnets before dinner was served. Mothers would bake sweet potatoes until soft, then scoop out the flesh and mash it with butter, brown sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, and vanilla extract until smooth and creamy. The sweetened sweet potato mixture was spooned into mini muffin tins or shaped into small balls and placed on baking sheets. each one topped with a single mini marshmallow that would toast golden brown. As they baked, the marshmallows puffed up and turned golden, creating that characteristic toasted flavor that children associated with campfires and summer fun. In the 1970s Black households, these bites represented creativity, taking traditional candied yams and reimagining them as finger foods children could grab. Mustard greens with ham hocks delivered bitter, peppery flavors that balanced the smoky pork perfectly while providing vitamins and minerals essential for health and sustained well-being. The greens were cleaned thoroughly, then cooked low and slow with ham hocks, onions, vinegar, and hot sauce until tender, but still maintaining some texture throughout. The bitterness mellowed during cooking, balanced by the pork's saltiness and the vinegar's tang, creating complex flavors that developed over hours of patient simmering. The Potlikker was considered especially valuable, packed with vitamins leached from the greens and rich with pork flavor worth savoring. Families served this with cornbread and hot sauce, with children learning to appreciate the bitter notes that many initially resisted eating. In the 1970s, mustard greens grew easily in southern gardens and could be purchased cheaply at markets when homegrown weren't available for picking. Mustard greens with ham hocks represented southern cooking wisdom, showing how proper preparation made even bitter vegetables into food people actually wanted to eat. Sweet potato pone was the dense, caramelized dessert that emerged from Black kitchens during Christmas, its texture somewhere between pudding and cake with a sticky sweetness that satisfied the deepest cravings. Grated raw sweet potatoes were mixed with molasses, butter, eggs, and warm spices like cinnamon and nutmeg before being poured into heavy cast-iron skillets. The mixture baked low and slow until the top developed a dark, almost candied crust, while the interior remained moist and creamy. Unlike the lighter sweet potato pie, pone was substantial. A single slice could fill you for hours. Families made this dish when sweet potatoes were plentiful and affordable, stretching the humble root vegetable into something that felt like celebration. The recipe required no fancy ingredients, just patience and understanding of how heat transformed starch into sugar. Sweet potato pone appeared on holiday sideboards alongside pies and cakes, offering an earthier alternative to more refined desserts. Chicken salad stuffed in cherry tomatoes created colorful, bite-sized portions that children eagerly grabbed. The cool, creamy chicken salad contrasting with the fresh, slightly tart tomato cups that held everything together. Aunties would hollow out cherry tomatoes using small spoons or melon ballers, creating little edible bowls that were functional and beautiful when arranged on serving platters. The chicken salad was made from finely chopped cooked chicken mixed with mayonnaise, diced celery, sweet pickle relish, and seasonings. The mixture kept cold until serving time. Each hollowed tomato was filled with a generous spoonful of chicken salad, mounded slightly on top for visual appeal. In 1970s Black households, these stuffed tomatoes represented creativity and presentation, transforming simple ingredients into appetizers that looked impressive enough for special occasions. Children loved them because they were perfectly portioned, colorful, and combined familiar flavors in a fun format. Red rice with sausage brought Gullah traditions into urban Black kitchens, creating one-pot meals that combined African cooking techniques with American ingredients in uniquely flavorful and satisfying ways. Long grain rice was cooked with smoked sausage, tomatoes, onions, peppers, and spices until the rice absorbed all the liquid and turned deep red throughout. The dish was savory, slightly spicy, and deeply satisfying, with each grain of rice coated in tomato richness and sausage fat for maximum flavor. This wasn't just food, but cultural heritage, connecting coastal African Americans to West African jollof rice through centuries of adaptation and survival across oceans. Families served this at celebrations, church dinners, and regular weeknight meals when rice and sausage were all the budget allowed for feeding everyone. In the 1970s, rice was among the cheapest starches available, and smoked sausage provided maximum flavor from minimal meat for economical cooking. Red rice with sausage represented cultural continuity and African heritage, surviving through food traditions that connected past to present. Pigtail stew simmered on Black stovetops during Christmas week, filling homes with aromas that announced both celebration and tradition. The tails were first cleaned and sometimes smoked, then braised slowly with tomatoes, onions, and whatever vegetables the cook preferred, often lima beans, potatoes, or butter beans. Hours of cooking transformed the tough, cartilaginous tails into something tender and rich, their natural gelatin thickening the stew into something substantial. The meat pulled easily from the bones, its porky flavor intensified by long cooking. Families served this stew over rice, the grains soaking up the flavorful liquid while providing the perfect base for the tender meat. Pigtails were inexpensive, allowing families to create abundance from modest resources. Children who grew up eating this stew remembered its distinctive flavor and texture, though few learned to prepare it themselves. The dish represented Black culinary wisdom, understanding that time and heat could transform the humblest ingredients. Oxtail stew transformed the tail of cattle into fall-off-the-bone tender meat swimming in rich, gelatinous gravy that coated everything perfectly when served over white rice. The oxtails were browned first to develop deep flavor, then slowly braised with onions, carrots, celery, tomatoes, and red wine or broth for hours until the meat became incredibly tender and rich. The bones released collagen and marrow, thickening the sauce naturally and creating richness that couldn't be achieved any other way with cheaper ingredients. This wasn't quick food, but patient food, requiring hours of low heat to transform tough connective tissue into silky texture worth waiting for. Families served this on special occasions despite the humble ingredient because the preparation demanded time and attention that showed love clearly. In the 1970s, oxtails were considered throwaway cuts that butchers sold cheaply, perfect for Black families who understood their potential for transformation into something special. The dish represented culinary alchemy, showing how time, technique, and patience could transform the least desirable cuts. Spinach dip, served with crackers and vegetables, was creamy, savory goodness that children scooped up enthusiastically. The rich cream cheese and sour cream base mixed with chopped spinach and seasonings, creating dips that tasted indulgent. Aunties would thaw frozen chopped spinach and squeeze out all the excess water before mixing it with softened cream cheese, sour cream, mayonnaise, dried vegetable soup mix, and sometimes water chestnuts for added crunch. The mixture was stirred together until smooth and well combined, then refrigerated for several hours to allow flavors to meld and develop depth. Some families served the dip cold, while others baked it briefly to create warm, bubbling cheese pulls that made every scoop exciting. In 1970s, Black households, spinach dip represented modern entertaining, recipes that came from package instructions but became beloved traditions. Children loved spinach dip because the vegetables were hidden in creamy richness, making them willing to eat greens. Pickled pig ears appeared on Black Christmas buffets as the briny, chewy delicacy that only the adventurous truly appreciated. The ears were first cleaned thoroughly and simmered until tender, then sliced thin and packed into jars with vinegar, onions, and hot peppers. Weeks of pickling transformed the cartilaginous ears into something tangy and satisfying, their unique texture providing contrast to the rich meats and sweet desserts dominating holiday spreads. Served cold, straight from the jar, pig ears were eaten with crackers or simply picked up and savored by those who understood their appeal. Children often wrinkled their noses, but elders who had grown up with this dish looked forward to its appearance each Christmas. The pickled ears represented the waste-nothing philosophy that had sustained Black families through generations of scarcity. Making them required planning and patience. The ears needed weeks in brine to develop proper flavor. Few modern cooks undertake this preparation anymore. Cornbread dressing made from scratch became holiday tradition that stretched expensive turkey into meals feeding extended families gathering from across cities and states for celebration. Day-old cornbread was crumbled and mixed with sautéed onions, celery, sage, chicken broth, and eggs, then baked until golden on top and creamy inside with perfect texture. This wasn't stuffing cooked inside the bird, but Southern dressing baked separately in pans, allowing better control over texture and flavor throughout. The cornbread absorbed the broth and seasonings, becoming savory and moist with crispy edges that everyone fought over at dinner tables. Families made huge pans because this was as important as the turkey itself, sometimes more important given its cultural significance to gatherings. In the 1970s, cornmeal was cheap enough that making cornbread for dressing didn't stress budgets even during expensive holiday meals celebrated properly. Each family had their own variations, with recipes guarded and passed down through generations of women who took pride in their dressing. Sausage balls made with breakfast sausage, cheese, and biscuit mix, baked into savory spheres that children popped into their mouths like candy, their crispy exteriors giving way to soft, cheesy, slightly spicy interiors. Mothers would combine raw breakfast sausage with shredded sharp cheddar cheese and dry biscuit mix, kneading everything together until well combined. The mixture was then rolled into balls about an inch in diameter, arranged on baking sheets with space between them, and baked until golden brown. As they baked, the fat from the sausage rendered while the cheese melted, creating savory, flavorful bites that were crispy outside and tender inside. In the 1970s, Black households, sausage balls represented easy entertaining, a recipe that could be made ahead. Children loved sausage balls because they were perfectly portioned, required no utensils, and delivered breakfast flavors in snackable form. Which forgotten Christmas appetizer would you revive for your holiday table? Drop your memories in the comments, hit like if this brought back flavors of the past, and subscribe for more forgotten recipes worth remembering.